let's have a few words about manifestation power. The thing is, we indeed perceive the world and we integrate the sensory informations. We analyze it through the cognitive system, and depending on the structure our cognitive system has, we analyze and treat those information in a certain way. Typically, when people still are identified to the ego and to the voice in the head, which is just a running commentary made by the cognitive system, they believe this is the reality, but it's just you gather the information from outside through your senses, and this information is treated by your cognitive system, and the way this cognitive system treats this information is a function of the structure of this cognitive system, which is itself function of your life history, your conditioning. So if you had certain trauma, for example, regarding certain stimulus, certain sensory information you receive, your cognitive system will label these things as dangerous or whatever. And if you have a very damaged cognitive system, you will typically be very depressed, and the running commentary in your head will be very negative. And if you have a pretty healthy cognitive system, you will have a positive running commentary in the head, and all running commentaries are just function of what is your experience of life, and this is the kind of a filter that treat and analyze all information coming from outside. Based on your past. This is in any way this is not objective. This is very much subjective. And it in a way is not truly what things are. The labels and the names this commentary gives to everything is not really what things are. The voice is real. The things are real. But the way the voice comments things is the only reality of it is there is a voice in your head commenting things, and another reality is you believe this voice. But this is not what things are. Things are what they are. Things are not what your cognitive system build up as conclusion about them. So that's something important to have in mind. But there is another thing, is so that's pretty obvious. That is how the sensory system work and how we gather information from outside. But there is something which is not really approached by sciences. So all the sensory functioning is really well described. You just go into physiology of senses and you can learn everything about it. But when it comes to the other point we're going to talk about now, so the power of manifestation, this is not really studied and it's not really understood. With quantum physics we are now getting there because we have evidences and proof that the observer plays on the structure of a quantum system, which is a way to say that the observer affects reality. And this is what we call power of manifestation. It means the thoughts you have and everything that's kicking up inside you, the voices, everything, this is emitted. This creates a vibration. This is an amount of energy. You know, your thoughts are at physiological level, your thoughts are electric signal going through the axons of your neurons in your head, and this creates little waves, electromagnetic waves that are emitted to the environment. So that's about thoughts, but you constantly emit a magnetic field, an electromagnetic field. You emit molecules, you emit sounds, you emit mechanical actions, you emit tons of things all the time. And these things affect the environment. These things are what we call manifestations. So when the system, your system, is pretty low energetically, what you emit isn't really strong. It creates energetic wave like this that affects the environment, but to a very limited extent. But when your energies get higher and more intense, so this happens when you awake spiritually. When you go through awakening, your system reorganizes itself and it starts vibrating with a much more strength. And at this point, your manifestation becomes much more powerful. And the way you vibrate affects the environment to a much wider extent. To some extent, if your system is really powerful, when you have a thought, it is going to manifest instantly. Almost like in dreams, you know. In dreams, if you have lucid dreams, you think of a car, poof, there is a car. When your power of manifestation is really strong, when you think something, it's gonna manifest in your life, real quick. Because the way you vibrate is intense. So when this happened, the relationship from the outside, the relationship between the outside and the inside of you slightly changed to the way that before this, we could say we are weaker. Energetically, we are weaker than the environment. So we tend to live in a reality where things happen to us, which is literally the case. Things happen to us because when we vibrate, it doesn't work, it doesn't manifest so much, and everything vibrates on us and we absorb it and it affects us. And the mind labels things as good and bad, so you see the world through all these labels, and you live in a world where this is good, that is bad, this is bright, this is dark, and all this affects you. Once you are awake, once your system reached the next level, we could say, the things outside of you, they don't really affect you so much. You're not influenced anymore by the environment, and you are influencing the environment, which means when there is light inside, you manifest it all around, and everywhere you go you create this reality, and everything becomes beautiful around you. And when there is shadow inside, you evolve in a reality where everything is dark. And there is nothing in the outside that can really change this. Before, when we have a bad mood, we just need something in the outside that we label as very bright, or which is very bright, and it transmutes it. We get enlightened again. But when you are much stronger energetically, you make no difference between things. There is this labeling process, cognitive process, this naming process stops, and you make no difference between things, people, situations. Everything becomes just what it is, very neutral, just what it is. You know, in nature there is no good or bad, it's just things as they are. And when your cognitive system is very healthy, this is the reality you live in. It doesn't interpret things. This is possible when you clean your past, basically. When you clean all your memories. Then you just see things as they are. And they are neither good or bad, light or dark. But from inside, you decide if you project light on it or if you project darkness on it. And this is not going to be only in your head, it is going to manifest. When you are enlightened, or when you are awake, if you decide to let the light shine through, and you live in a reality where everything around you is beautiful, where everybody around you is so great, people will start behaving this way. Things will start becoming beautiful. Things that are broken will start being fixed by themselves. Things that are dying, they start being alive. It influences reality. People that are sick, they get healed. It influences reality. It manifests. It becomes real. This is something that is hard to understand when we are when reality falls upon us all the time and we cannot change anything. But when your system is much stronger, you can change the external environment. And you actually do. And if you think everything is dark, everybody's ill, everybody's a vampire, everything is broken, things start being broken, people start behaving very bad, etc., etc. People get sick. Because you become a creator. You become powerful. When your system is properly structured, you become very powerful and you manifest reality very strongly. And you live in a reality where things are right and are just what they are, and you can affect them. The world become a transparent sheet on which you can draw. And it's basically like this. Either you let light shine through and everything becomes sacred, everything becomes divine around you, or you let an obstacle through this light sit inside you, and this projects shadows and everything becomes dark. You fall into nihilism. So when there's light, you are into divine reality, and everything becomes wonderful. And when there is an obstacle, you shine into you project nihilism. You fall into nihilism, and this obstacle inside is what we call the ego.